Ahoy, this is Zdenka. Moza Mini MX2 got a lot better. And that's not everything. Let's review this. First of all, this is not a sponsor video. I'm not being paid. Whoever got some Moza provided this product for a review. I have reviewed the original Moza Mini MX on this channel. Some of you might be familiar with it. Well, this is the original Moza Mini MX and this is the new Moza Mini MX2. At first, they look identical. What has been added? What has been added to Moza Genie App and how is Moza Genie App for Android users? You are looking at the world's first outer sense smartphone gimbal. No more fiddling around, trying to put your phone into a clamp and balancing it and all that. No more powering on the gimbal, realizing that you don't have the phone in and it's going to damage your motors. Nope. You will press the power button. You will wait for a few seconds until the clamp opens up. You will grab your phone, and as soon as you get your phone close, the sensor will detect it and the clamp will close. It will automatically balance and you are ready to shoot. Yes, it will automatically balance. Well, how do you get the phone back? That's it. Say goodbye to your phone. Fine, you have two options. You will press and hold the trigger button at the back and plus zoom button in the front, and the clamp will open up for you so you can take the phone. Or if you need to insert it back, you will place it in, press trigger and hold, and minus zoom as well. The clamp will close. The other option would be if you don't want to film anymore. You just press and hold the trigger and hold the power button to shut off. The clamp will open up, you will take the phone and the gimbal will turn off. So let me show you up close. So here is the clamp and here is the little sensor. This is where it sees your phone. I tried to pull the phone, I tried to wiggle with it. It's got a very good grip. I noticed that you will get a perfect fit when you are not using a phone case. With my phone case, and I'm using the Moment case, here and there it looks like it's not perfect fit, but it doesn't seem to be bothered by it. The grip is strong and it balances it well. Before I move on to more new things, let's run through specifications. Maximum payload is 280 grams. To give you an idea, here is the weight of my iPhone 12 Pro with a thin Moment case. So there is room for additional weight. The weight of this gimbal is 423 grams. Folded and unfolded dimensions are displayed on the screen. Each motor has its own lock. The gimbal supports phones which are between 60 and 88 millimeters in width and weight 143 to 280 grams. Battery life is 24 hours. It's got 2000 mAh built-in battery and charging time is 2.5 hours. What has been also upgraded is the Moza Deep Red anti-shake algorithm, which means that it should be more stable now. So we are going to test it right now. Moza Genie App, which belongs to this gimbal, has several levels of stabilization. First of all, you can have it just on off. Then you can have the anti-shake on standard, cinematic, or automatic. So let me try to do first off, and then we're gonna jump in to automatic, and I might even add cinematic. And as always, I'm going to start with very hard regular walk, then I'm gonna go down into my knees and go very softly, what's called ninja walk, and then I'm going to go to full speed run. Let's do this. Let's stay with the movement for a little bit and let's look at the mechanical range of motion. Pan is quite large, it is 340 degrees. Tilt is 140 degrees. And roll is 300 degrees. I know that many of you will be wondering if we can see a motor in the shot if we are filming with ultra wide angle lens or actually the double wide angle lens or a triple shot. Well, here are a few clips showing that if you place the phone, and I'm using iPhone 12 Pro, directly in the center, no, you cannot see the motor in a shot, so that's a very good news. I also tested the native camera app and the same result, I'm not seeing motor in the shot. Buttons. What can we control? And can we change modes in other apps? Power button, which is also your function button, is right here. If you long press, you will turn it on and off. Single press will start and stop recording. If you double press, you can switch between photo and video mode. If you triple press, you will switch between horizontal and vertical mode. Joystick is typical, just move left, right, up and down. And if you are going to be in inception mode, you will rotate your phone clockwise or counterclockwise. Let's explain the zoom plus and zoom minus buttons. So if you single press the plus sign, you will switch between pan and tilt mode, and if you press again, you will switch to pan follow mode. So those two modes you can change just by single pressing the plus sign and zoom button. If you go to minus, you can switch to FPV mode or back to where you were before. So FPV mode, and before I was in pan follow mode. If I double press the plus button, it's gonna automatically zoom in. Obviously, if I'm gonna double press the minus button, I will be able to zoom out. Smart Trickle has several functions as well. If you click and hold, you will enter all lock mode. If you double click and hold, you are going to be in sports gear mode. If you press one time, you will enable face tracking. If you double press, the gimbal will recenter. If you triple press, you will switch between rear and front facing camera. Some of you might say, well, that's a lot of things to remember. Actually, it doesn't take that long to remember. Let's recap all those modes. So if you single press the plus sign, you will switch between pan and tilt mode, and if you press again, you will switch to pan follow mode. So those two modes you can change just by single pressing the plus sign and zoom button. If you go to minus, you can switch to FPV mode or back to where you were before. So FPV mode, and before I was in pan follow mode. If I double press the plus button, it's gonna automatically zoom in. Obviously, if I'm gonna double press the minus button, I will be able to zoom out. Let's look at those buttons and what works in other apps. I'm right now in native camera app. You cannot zoom in or out, and you cannot start and stop recording with the buttons. Well, you will have to tap on the screen. However, yes, you can change all gimbal modes, no problem. Moza recommends to film in Moza Genie app, which has pretty much everything when it comes to simple automatic filming or even advanced filming. But you know what, let's dive into the Moza Genie app and let's see what you're going to get with Apple. And then later on, I'm gonna show you what you will get in Android. At the top left, you can change your frame rates. You can film 24, 30, and 60 frames per second in 4K, 1080p, and 720p. Here you can also change your lenses: wide angle, telephoto, ultra wide angle, double wide angle, and 3 shots. Let me go ahead and show you some examples in double wide angle and triple shots. On the left, we are going to start with gimbal parameter settings. You can turn on and off sports gear mode. You can adjust the horizon. If your gimbal is a bit crooked and you are not getting the perfect horizon, this is where you do it. Then we have here, adjust joystick speed and zoom speed. This little square lets you hide all the settings and see only a clear screen. You can bring it back the same way. Let's go lower to camera settings. You can do live streaming. Here you can select what type of stabilization you want. As I mentioned before, you have a choice between off, standard, cinematic, and automatic. You can turn on a whole bunch of things such as recording reminder flashing, silent recording, recording noise reduction, recording gain, mixed background music, volume key recording, spirit level, overexposure tips, full screen preview, and you can also reset everything here. At the bottom, you can turn on and off smartphone light. Let's go to the right side. M stands for Magic Mode, which has 19 pre-designed templates. You just follow the steps, film the clips, and it will edit it for you and add music. You can come up with something like this. Filters are next. Then you can switch between front and rear camera. Below is where you can turn on and off tracking. Then you have record button. You can turn on gesture control. Below, see videos you took. On the left, you can select if you want to film in manual mode. You will need VND filter for that. I linked all the accessories below the video in the video description. Also linked this gimbal so you can see it in your currency depending on where you live. Further left, you can select frame, safe area, and grid. And finally, further right, you can choose if you want to take photos, record videos, time-lapse, trajectory delay, which is your motion time-lapse, and slow motion. You can film slow motion either in 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second. Let's look at the Moza Genie app with Android. Now I'm using Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Keep in mind that every Android is different, so there might be a slight difference depending on the phone you have. If you ask me if your phone is compatible with this gimbal, I won't know. The best thing to do is to look at the compatibility list directly on Gatsen Moza website. I'm gonna link everything below in a video description. So let's see what this app offers for Android. And I can tell you right now, there are some things missing, but there are extra things which Apple doesn't get. First of all, if you're gonna be filming only in automatic mode, you can only film in 30 frames per second. In 4K, 1080p, and 720p. If you feel comfortable filming in manual mode, you can film in 4K, 1080p, and 720p in 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second. Or you can film in 1080p and 720p in 120 frames per second and 240 frames per second. Under the camera settings, you have a few extra things, such as focus mode. You can choose to film in auto, macro, continuous wide, and continuous picture. When it comes to anti-shake though, you can only turn it on and off. You don't have different levels of stabilization. I also see that you can enable Bluetooth microphone here or frame drop reminder. Let's look at the other side, and you are not getting the magic mode, but in photo mode, you are actually getting multi-exposure mode, light mode, and axis mode. You're not also getting the lens choices, otherwise everything else is the same. So Moza Genie app has manual filming. For that you need variable ND filter. How is it with filters? Do you need the contour weights? How does it gonna work? So first of all, the maximum payload is 280 grams. This whole setup, which is iPhone 12 Pro with moment case, thin case, and variable ND filter, again, all of it will be linked below, weighs, let me actually check the scale here, 261 grams. So we are definitely under. So let me try to put it in and see how it's gonna balance it. And see, it's balanced, no problem. So you don't even need counterweights for this one, for variable ND filter. Now I have here anamorphic lens, so let me go ahead and switch that and try the same thing. So now the weight with the anamorphic lens is 265 grams, so it's a little bit heavier. So let me try to insert it. And the same thing. No issues, no problem. This can work. If you're gonna be using even heavier lenses, I guess you're gonna be okay as long as you go under the 280 grams maximum payload. Just weight on the scale like I'm doing. What do I think of this gimbal? Well, it's got a lot of positives. It's got some negatives as well. As before, I'm still a little bit bothered by the position of the tripod. I'm touching it with the finger. But to be honest, the longer I'm using it, I'm getting used to it. So I guess it's just a matter of time to get used to it. What do I like when I'm using Apple on this phone? Well, the app is done quite well. I can use the modes in any other app. So if I decide to film in any other app, I'm fine. I like that I can easily use the filters on it. I don't see a problem. Why not? I like that the Moza Genie app is quite detailed. It's got 60 frames per second. It's got 120 frames per second and all other stuff. The stabilization is great too when you can switch it. It's got a lot of bonuses actually, the app. When it comes to Android phones, well, you certainly are getting a lot more than you would be getting with the other gimbals. I like the fact that if you're filming in manual mode, you get this 24 frames per second, 120 frames per second, slow motion, 240 frames per second. You get extra stuff such as the Bluetooth microphone. You can change the focus. You can control focus. You can change the focus modes. This is one of the better gimbals for Android, hands down. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, then I have a little surprise for you, because Moza actually sent me 2 units of this beautiful new gimbal Moza Mini MX2. One is gonna stay in the studio. I'm gonna be filming with it and creating more tutorials. The second one is going for a secret or hidden giveaway, as always. That's why you should be always subscribed to this channel. Well, what do you have to do to win this gimbal? As I said, you need to make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. You need to like today's video and write in a comment section below what features you liked on this gimbal, and which gimbals you would like to have on the perfect ultimate gimbal. Well, if you do all that, you qualify to win this beautiful package. Today is Friday, October 1st. Deadline is tomorrow, Saturday, October 2nd at 10 a.m. EST time. The winner will be announced on the next video in a comment section. The comment will be pinned to the top, and also the winner will be notified. Wishing you all the best. Ciao. Ahoy. Not so fast, actually. I've got a little blooper for you, a little story. So when I got this gimbal and I tried to pair it and get that thing going, originally there's 3 locks you need to unlock. So I unlocked this one, and this one. And I didn't notice, but by accident I locked one of those motors. Most likely it was the clamp one. I don't remember right now. Anyways, I tried to put the phone in. The phone got paired through the settings via the Bluetooth, but the app was not recognizing the gimbal, didn't want to activate the gimbal at all. And I kept fighting for 2 days, and I uninstalled the app and I installed the app, and it just didn't go. So I emailed Moza and said, hey, this is not working. I can't get that going. And their response was, can you actually record yourself as you are putting it in? So I did record it as I'm trying all this. The next day I got an email saying, you actually have one of the axes locked. Can you just unlock it and get that going? Yeah, pretty embarrassing. So next time you are having this gimbal, make sure all the motors are unlocked. Otherwise you're gonna be in the same situation. The nerd I am, I was looking for all the other things, but I overlooked this very simple mistake. Have an awesome day. Ciao, ahoy.